Hello, and welcome back to the Rebel Mama podcast. I'm Nikita Stanley.
And I'm Alex Jassem.
And today we're chatting about contrast therapy, breathwork, community, and the pleasure they bring with the one and only Robbie Bent.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You might blush a little bit because we're going to rattle off your bio now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. Robbie Bent is the CEO and co-founder of Othership. He's a dad, an entrepreneur, and a community builder of epic proportions. If you haven't been yet, honestly, what are you waiting for? Othership is a space for transformation that incorporates sauna, ice baths, and extrasensory experiences to shift your state as you are with others. Othership is building the future of emotional wellness by offering journeyers an immersive and social sauna and ice bath experience. The vision is to create playful peak experiences that enhance emotional and physical well-being in a way that inspires awe and belonging for all. Welcome, babe.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it was
Is
good.
there anything I missed?
He's like,
there?
who is this guy? He sounds amazing.
Better than we have it on the website.
Okay,
So.
perfect. Yeah, feel free to borrow anything from that if it serves you. We're so happy to have you here with us. You're one of our favorite entrepreneurs in the city, and we think what you've started at Othership is incredible. So we're excited to dive in, but before we do, how's life? How's dad life treating you?
It was this year was really challenging. Like
Okay.
we were just talking about it a little bit before, but so we moved to New York, which is already a crazy energy. And there was 12 of us living in a house, including our toddler.
Oh my
And
goodness.
no one else had kids in the house. So
So they were
very interesting.
super understanding.
Experience. Well, it's just like New York. It's like, oh, like there's this rave under the bridge tonight. You guys want to go? It's like,
They're like, we're sleep training.
yeah. And so we also found out our childcare couldn't come, like, you know, a couple of days before we left, and so we had to find childcare there while also managing this like disaster nightmare of a project that was over budget and couldn't get open. So it was mixing like extreme financial stress with like, oh my God, like running this business. Like there was a flood.
Oh my God.
It was just crazy.
And with a baby too, that's so stressful.
Yeah, it was tough. So I mean, like a lot of excitement, and for him, it was like watching him come out of his shell because he's an only child at home. He used to be very shy, and so it was the first time he was around so many people, and so seeing him in like the energy of a city,
Right.
In New
was
York of all places.
really
I mean,
it was really amazing growth for him. He ended up having a seizure, which was the first. He got sick. He was dehydrated, and we didn't like really know what to do. And so he had a seizure from dehydration and like passed out cold. And so I came outside.
oh my
I was already
God.
super stressed, and I had come back from LA and was getting a coffee, and I heard one of the girls in the house like, he's not okay.
Oh my
And so I
goodness.
came out and saw my wife like crying, and he was unconscious. And it was like, luckily in 2 years, nothing has really happened like
Yeah,
that. And so it was
yeah.
the first time where I thought like,
Oh,
what if he's dead?
of
You know,
course.
and I didn't know what to do. I just, my wife is such a warrior, and I just froze. Like I just literally froze. It's happened to me a few times where I just like freeze in these panic situations.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, what if he's dead? Oh my God. And like an ambulance came. We're all outside, like on the street, and police came, and they put an ambulance, put like a little baby
Oh, baby.
mask on him. And so
That's so scary.
it was really intense. And like after that, my wife was just like, I'm fucking done with this. Like, you know, we're in this house.
Yeah.
Like we
And
don't
New York,
even
too,
have
is so
insurance.
extreme.
Like,
Yeah. Right.
what is the deal? Like, I don't even know what happened with the bill, if it got sent to
Oh, I'm
us.
sure it'll be sent.
So-
I'm sure it's in the mail.
So we came back, and she actually came back first because I still had to stay for a bit.
Yeah.
That was hard also. But he's like totally fine and
Just like a
resilient.
febrile, isn't that what
just
they
like
call
a-
them?
I
Yeah.
didn't even know about that, to be
It's
honest.
usually it's from a fever. Like
Oh.
they can often
Yeah.
get them from a really high fever, and that's always why you have to take their temperature when they have a fever to see when.
Just like I
Particular
mean, I
point.
just, you know, from my wife who's like working,
Yeah.
plus like living in this house, plus like is the primary caregiver, and like
Yeah.
it's just a lot. And
Oh
so
my
we came
God,
back,
poor
and but it feels good now. It feels like triumph. Like the business is profitable.
Good.
We did it. We're like back in our house here. Everything is going well. He has like more time outside, and so yeah, I feel it's
Oh my god.
So you're back here now. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
good.
no New York
Yeah.
relocation. You're like, actually, we're good.
She's like, I need to go home.
Yeah.
It's like, well, one thing that was cool there is like there's just amazing play zones. And I feel if you're like a Toronto mom and want to start a business, like where do you, and maybe like for 2 to 5 year olds in the winter, like what do you take your kids?
I mean, there's like
To-
Sprouts and all those kinds of, they're expensive, but
Yeah, there's a few
There's a
that
few, yeah.
combine like workplace
Yeah.
with play
Yeah.
place,
Uh-huh.
which is a
Okay.
really smart concept, like a
Mhm.
co-working space that has a like daycare hybrid
Yeah.
situation going on in the back, like not amazing daycare, but
Yeah.
like IKEA vibes. Like
Yeah.
you
I was
can put
gonna
your
say you
kid
can
there.
just drop your kid
or
off
go
at
to
IKEA.
IKEA. Hot tip, everybody.
Just drop your kids off in those floating balls and just get
There's
your
like
work
there's
later.
nice ones in New York. Like they're
Yeah, I
they're
bet.
fun and they're cool. Like $200 a month, so not like cheap, but
Yeah.
not like
Oh, that's
crazy.
better than
That's
daycare.
actually better. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
So everyone's back here and situated. Everyone can
Stabilized.
exhale,
yeah,
I suppose. And New York is going
God.
well now.
yeah, like the amount of people. It's the busiest ship. It's profitable.
It's
We had-
the busiest one now.
It's the busiest one.
So the
yeah, in
response
only
was
a
good.
couple months. It's just people in New York are more. It's more of a struggle to live there. Like
Mhm,
it's
of course.
it's hardcore, you know.
Yes.
And so here, Canadians are naturally a little more reserved.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who grew up in Toronto and New York. Like you live there in your 20s and 30s. There's not as many families that have lived in. It's just all transient people who have come alone to follow their dream. And it's hardcore. People have 2-3 jobs, and so they're stressed. So you come in and you're like, sauna's dark. Like, oh, let's let emotional release and scream. And people are
Yeah.
even before you say scream, people are just screaming.
Like we're screaming.
They're
You know,
like, we already
yeah.
scream on a regular basis when we take the subway.
Yeah, so it's and people are more social. They're more looking to meet other people. They're looking to find partners to date. So just like
Yeah.
the socials right away were really popular, like
Interesting.
that whole concept. So I think if you think of places in the world where people are lonely, outgoing, looking for something new, stressed, New York is like the
And there's
best
so
for
many
that
people there.
for that
Yeah.
culture, and there's so many. So it's been cool. Like since Toronto, since we've opened in New York, you know, Andrew Huberman and Brian Johnson and Kate Hudson and the CEO
Awesome.
of TED and Diplo and like just these people like are in New York. So
Right.
it's easier to get exposed to like a
Right.
much broader base because we're doing this for so long here in Toronto, and it's like pretty well known at this point. But now I feel like it's getting well known on a global scale, which
Oh,
feels
Congrats. That's
Amazing.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
big. It's really hard to penetrate that US market.
Yeah. We
So,
love to hear that.
Yeah.
I think if I had known what it would be like,
You would've just started there?
I think I don't know if I would
You-
have done it at all.
Oh
So
no.
it just-
Yeah, it was a lot.
I just, you know, we had one and it worked so well at Adelaide, the small one.
Yeah.
And then we signed 3 leases at the same time for double the size.
Yeah.
And like the costs ballooned.
Of course.
Yeah, it's
what
a
it
lot.
would cost to go to New York. Like we didn't think it was going to take us 6 months every day being inside, bringing our whole team down. So it's,
It was a heavy lift.
yeah, like the last 12 months I've been
God.
like I probably cried like 4 times in the street just in New York. Like this is never
Yeah.
gonna, I've put the company in jeopardy. It's never going to work. What have we done? Like, and now it feels, okay, we're back.
It's part of the journey, I
Mhm.
guess.
New York is a good
Yes.
place to cry on the street because
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Literally, people walk by you and nobody cares.
here they'd be like, "Oh my god!" They're like, "Get out of the way!" Like, fuck, you're taking up too much space.
You know,
for your crying.
funny though, I would say like in the playgrounds, people were way more understanding and friendly, and I find
Then
in the-
here?
yeah. So a
Ooh.
little like when our playgrounds are like in the West End, so Argyle, Trinity Bellwoods,
Mhm.
Yeah.
anything in that area, and
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's us, but
They're like, there's
I
Robbie.
don't find, maybe we're not friendly enough, but I don't find people are like, hey, what's up? You know,
Yeah.
and in New York, like you're just sitting there and everyone just starts talking. And people are like, oh my God, you're new. Like, have you tried this, this, and this?
Mm.
And it just seems because it is not affordable for parents to live there. Like it's
Yeah.
not affordable here, and there it's like 2 times as bad. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like all the parents are
You gotta
together.
stay
Like,
together.
yo, you need, like, this is so hard. You need help. So that was a cool
That's cool.
feeling that I
That's
wasn't
awesome.
expecting.
That's awesome. Well, we thought maybe we would share, in honor of this conversation, our first ice bath
Yeah.
story,
Which was with you.
with everybody, which was Robbie's fault.
Yeah,
really.
because we'd never actually willingly step into an ice cold bath on our own.
No, but these lovely people from this place called Othership were just reaching out to us and being like, you know, we'd love for you to try this, and we respect what you built with your community. We're like, what the fuck is this place? Like, maybe we should go. They seem so nice. And then we Googled the address and we were like, is that the old footwork?
Which was like a
And
big
it
selling
was.
point. We're like, yes,
Yeah.
we must. They obviously get it.
So we came, we did a night class. It started late. I think it started like 9:00,
Yeah.
which worked for us because that was when our responsibilities were asleep for the day.
Yes.
And we were like, should we smoke weed first? Like, what should we do? It's a nighttime thing. We're out of the house, like whatever. And then we decided, you know what? We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. So
Yeah.
we should just go
Better stay clear headed. Yeah.
sober. And thank God we did, because I probably would have like had a panic attack if I was stoned, because we had no idea.
We had no idea. And we also don't love cold. We don't
Yeah.
love cold weather.
Yeah.
I mean, I only like cold water to drink. So like the idea of it, like we couldn't get past it mentally. So we're like, we're going to do it together. We can do anything. And thank God the guides were there, because that was very helpful. And then we got in and we were together, and it was like labor. The breathing. Remember how scared we were? We were holding hands, just looking at each other.
And then we like touched the water and we were like, absolutely not. Like, it's a no.
It was a
Like,
mental block though.
It was.
Yeah.
And especially because when you see ice in water,
Yeah, the visual of the ice
you're
was
just like,
jarring.
no, I'm not supposed to be in there. Like, that's not for me to go into. Like, absolutely not. But we did it.
Oh man, did I ever feel like accomplished after that?
We made it the full 2 minutes the first time. And we were holding each other's hands in the tub and literally doing labor breathing, like in through our nose and then slowly out through our mouths the whole time. And then we felt like fucking superheroes.
We did.
Afterward.
The adrenaline after was crazy.
And
like
then
that
we were
feeling.
hooked.
Yeah,
Like, now we love going and we bring people.
we
and
bring people, we help people get into the tub, we get into cold lakes. Like, I can't even believe I'm saying this about us.
I know. And you did that.
You
Amazing.
changed us. You rewired us.
Amazing.
Robbie.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. It's like makes my day every time somebody says something like that.
But now we want to hear your first ice bath experience. What was that like?
So it's actually like the first, like not ice bath, but first cold plunge is my wife actually reached out, and our first date, we're like, you know, she
Stop.
knew I was healthy. We were talking. Our first date, she picked me up from the airport. I had nowhere to live and no car, and I was like, oh, I'm going to meet my mom and grandma for lunch. Like, do you want to come? And then she came, and then
Oh my God, that's adorable.
I ended up moving into her house with just like a whole bunch of plastic bags, like three weeks later. And
A love
but
story.
one of our first dates was she knew I was had quit drinking and wanted to be more healthy. And she was a registered dietitian,
Mhm.
worked at a hospital, and was listening to all these health podcasts, and was like, hey, I found this thing that we can do that's not alcohol related. It's like cold plunge. And I did a search and I found this like Russian bathhouse on the outskirts of town. Like, let's go. And we went, and it looks like a kind of an exotic massage parlor, and like the back
So
of
you're like
the,
on lights
yeah,
in the
it's
back.
just like in the back. We're like, hey, what is this
Like,
place?
we're getting freaky tonight.
And it was amazing. Like, the experience was incredible. You know, so first date, and a lot of people come to Othership now for first dates, but it's, you know, you're not on your phone.
Yeah.
So you're like fully present. And as soon as you get into the cold and come out, it's tripling the amount of norepinephrine, dopamine in the brain. So these are neurotransmitters responsible for this like feeling of being alive, feeling good.
That's what it is. That's the feeling. We felt so alive.
Yeah.
And so you think of like, it's hard to go on a date without drinking. Like, you're nervous.
Yes.
Most people have social
Yeah.
anxiety, even
Yeah.
with like a group of friends. That's why alcohol is used. So you can't just like, oh, let's just go sit in a room and listen to music. You need something.
Yeah.
And so you go and get into the ice bath together, which one, it's increasing these like feel good hormones. So you feel great, you feel alive. And then you help conquer your fears. Like, when you do something together that's hard, you actually build trust. Your brainwaves synchronize. So something, you know, that you do that's hard right away in a relationship can like really make that first date like more special. It can make a friendship more special. And then when you come out, any like fears that you have are gone. You can more easily be yourself. So I think, you know, that first one we did together, we get out, we're like just chatting, like, oh my God, this
I
crazy
love you.
experience. Yeah.
Like, so we're
think I
getting
love
married
you.
and having babies.
Yeah, so that was the first one, and then that kind of kicked off
Incredible.
a habit. We would do that, every week, and we moved to San Francisco. About
What
6
year
months
was this?
later.
I'm just curious on
Just-
timing
yeah.
because it's trendy now, but it
Yeah.
wasn't.
This is like 2017, so about seven
Okay,
years
Okay.
ago.
It wasn't
Yeah.
really as much. Of
No,
a
there
thing
wasn't
as it is
like
now.
like Wim Hof was on some podcasts, but people
Yeah.
are like, oh, like the fringy ones.
Mhm.
A lot of these health and wellness podcasts weren't even popular at
Yeah.
the time. So there was like Ben Greenfield and Dave Asprey were like the
Those are the ones.
health podcasts. And
Yeah.
I think even before that, this woman Rhonda Patrick was the woman
Okay.
female like biohacker scientist,
Mhm.
and she was talking about hot and cold, and so it was not normal at that
Yeah.
point in time to do it.
I don't even know if it's normal
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But it's been normalized. Like, I besides you guys, I just see it on Instagram, and
Yeah.
people are doing it on their own, and like it's a thing now. It's widely accepted, and I
Yeah.
know I think it's been going on for a long time, though, right? Like the history behind it is probably.
Yeah, and like it's all cultures except
Except the
Canada.
Caribbean.
But Canada's so cold. You'd
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
the Caribbean.
We're
they're
like, no.
It's mostly places where they had a strong like Catholic background. So in the U.S.,
Oh.
there was big crackdown on bathhouses when there was the AIDS epidemic.
Right.
UK, Canada, there's not like bathhouse
Mhm.
culture, but
Okay.
any European and in Finland, the sauna, Russia, the banya,
Yeah.
in Japan, there's the onsen, in Turkey, the hammam.
Right.
There's a sweat lodge in indigenous cultures,
Right.
temazcal and Latin American cultures. So
Yeah.
like most cultures have a hot cold practice. So it feels just like so obvious when you get out.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yes.
there's like less friction. It's easier than working out. You can just go and do it. It's like, if you're like, hey, let's go do Barry's boot camp. I'm like, not necessarily excited about that. But at the end of the day, if you're like, I know I'll feel better, but if you're just like, oh, let's go to Othership, so easy. You can
Yeah.
just go and hang out. I know I'm going to feel good.
Well, and you guys have created such a beautiful space, like aesthetically pleasing. It smells so good in there. The music's amazing. Like, it's such a nice way to spend your time, even in a nice bath.
Yeah. No, it's a good vibe. And I actually prefer it in the winter.
Yeah.
Like, because when I get in there, it's so
Yeah,
Cozy.
it's so
Yeah.
cozy.
Yeah.
The
And-
lighting is
Yeah.
everything.
the lighting is
Yeah.
so good in there. Everybody looks great in there.
Yes, it's
Which
true.
I don't know if you guys plan that.
Yeah, we actually have a problem.
like,
We have a
yes.
problem with it now because it's a place like it's meant to be beautiful, but it's for everybody. And people will
Mhm.
look and be like, oh, it's too cool. I'm not cool enough to
Oh.
go there. It feels like a Burning Man place, but I'm not cool enough. And it's like when you go in, it's not a place where people are cool. It's just a regular place, but it looks cool because the space is so beautiful. So
Yeah.
every time and the lighting's so beautiful, it makes everyone look good. So you see it
Yes.
online. It's like, oh, but that's not the demographic is just normal people. And we want it to feel approachable and like
Mhm.
cozy and safe. And we spent so much time, even the towels are custom designed. They're much larger than you'd find in any spa. So you can wrap them around your whole body.
Yeah.
So we're always concerned about people feeling like body positive, safe in their
Right.
bodies. And so all the lighting is like a very specific red hue,
Yes.
which also makes your body look
That
good.
makes me feel like I'm just under the setting sun. It's perfect.
Yeah, and there's
Yes.
no the sight lines. If you look across the space, it's all like windy. So
Yeah,
you can't
curves.
like, if you go into a lot of traditional bathhouses, they're just like one big open room. And so you like nothing worse than you look over and there's like a creepy person like just staring at you. And so the sight lines are done in a way so it feels like intimate, nooked, private, which leads to more communication. And for us, like safety
Mm-hmm.
was really important.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful space and we love going there.
Yeah, we
love
do.
being there. And I also feel like what it does for me is when I leave, I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
Like if I've just done that, then anything else that comes my way, I can just breathe through and it'll be
Mhm.
fine. Like if I can breathe through nearly dying of hypothermia in a tub for 2 minutes, then everything else is just like a cakewalk.
Well, and the takeaways from it, I think, are so great too, because like we did that deep stretch class with Z, and like I still do some of those things, the breathing techniques. Like I've just incorporated that into my life,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
and I think it's so great.
And the app is incredible for that too.
We're
Like,
just
I
gonna
love-
sit here and flatter
Yeah.
you all day.
Let me tell you more about what I love about Othership. But the app, honestly, because of the like walking breath work
Nice.
meditations, like
right.
that's the one for me. Like I have a hard time with just like
Yeah.
laying down and trying to do it. Although I do like breathe myself to sleep and I can fall
Me
asleep in
too.
like
Nice.
35
Yeah.
seconds. But in order to do like a meditation, I do need a little bit
Movement.
of movement.
Yeah.
So that one I really love. I love that you guys have that as an offering.
Amazing.
Really cool. We'll link all these things for you guys in the show notes after. But one thing we wanted to talk about is the haters. So when you build something amazing, you know you've reached the pinnacle when the haters come out. And we were, I know that it wasn't all negative, but there was a Toronto Life article recently that came out about Othership and a couple of its wellness affiliates. And it was called The Cult of Wellness. And the byline was, a growing cohort of Torontonians are swapping the Coke-fueled, booze-soaked club scene for cold plunges, sobriety, and superfood smoothies inside the expensive, obsessive, addictive quest for a perfect life.
Jeez, anything for a click.
So what does that type of perception get wrong about what you're building at Othership?
Well, I mean, that article specifically was like 13 pages.
Yes, it was.
So I grew up from in Guelph. And so like the thought to build something in Toronto, firstly, was like a dream come true, like massive. And then to like have it on the cover of Toronto Life, it's like insane. And then to see this article, like I was like blown away. Like they're talking about it. They mentioned a DJ wearing like with a mullet, wearing like a leather suit, hosting a party.
You're like, where was I?
Our co-founder, like playing a flute on the street with no shoes on it. But just like, it's incredible that they put like that much time. Because if you're reading it, nobody wants to hear over and over, like, if you're interested in this stuff, you've heard about it. And so yeah, I get it. All these doctors are talking about the benefits of sauna cold. I should go. But most people are skeptical. And so they want to hear the skeptical person's take, right? And so they want to hear like a bit of the other side. And so I'm totally for it. I think if you read that article, it's like, holy shit, what is happening in this place? Like it sounds crazy. So for us, I think it does a really good job of getting people who are on the fence to like come and check it out. And then I'm also a huge believer, like you just want people talking about your brand, and it's actually good to have haters. Like it's amazing. If you don't have haters, nobody is talking about what you're doing. And so it's always good to have like what I've seen when we have haters, it happens on TikTok. People always are like, oh, it's a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult. And that's like what you want. Like if you are not a cult brand, you're not a consumer brand. Your brand will not be super successful. And so Apple, Tesla,
true.
They're all like cult following. So when people are saying that, it's like where you want to lean in. And all it means is that people have really strong emotional ties to your brand. And like, of course.
It's a good thing.
Exactly. And so it's funny because some of the staff will be like, oh, my friends think I'm in a cult. They say
it's the hats.
It's the hats. I was gonna say, but I love the hats.
Yeah, so, but you want to be, I read this book actually on like how to build cults or something like that, or and it was
putting the cult in culture.
Yeah, but it was it's like when I have a belief, when I want to belong somewhere, and so you want to lean, you want to create something that people want to belong to, and to do that you have to be very authentic, and so we just lean into like things that are us, that are weird. And these classes, some have like a moment of eye gazing, which some people absolutely hate, but like, okay, fuck them. Like it's not for you. We don't have many mirrors in the space, and we do that so people feel safe in their body. But there's people who are like, oh, I can't get ready properly. And it's like, okay, well, it's not for you, and same as like we have a barefoot space for safety, but also because all the floor is designed to feel a certain way on your foot. And we didn't like the sound of like the squeaking slippers, but for some people it's not for them. So it's kind of really leaning into like, who is your customer? What do they like? And at the end of the day, we're creating this for us based on like what we like. And so thank God, like a lot of other people do as well. But I also love, on TikTok, somebody will post like, oh, I went to this place, it was a cult. Like, how dare they have people share their feelings in a class on a Tuesday night without warning? And then you'll see like 100 people stepping in, like defending it.
And so
it's not even us. It's just customers being like, I love it. I had like this amazing moment happen to me where, I thought of myself as a child, and I looked in my child eyes and was like so proud of what I've become.
And that's what you want. That's what you focus on.
Exactly. And so that's why I think there's been such much talk about it, is because it's not recovery for health, some type of longevity thing. It's like a real emotional thing, where do you see people share in a group about their feelings with strangers? Like I don't see that anywhere. And that's what I'm most proud of, is those deeper emotional experiences. So yeah, I think when there's haters, like,
but
it means we made it.
That comes from fear too, and misunderstanding, and they're too scared to try it themselves. So it's easier to shit on something, right? I mean, we get that too. We're not here to make everybody happy, right? We know who our demo is, and we are ourselves authentically, and that's all we can do.
It hurts though. Like it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like it's like it doesn't. I get every negative review is like emailed to me, so I just get a sense for like how we're doing, and you know, like this weekend, I think we had 1,500 people in on Saturday across the location. So like,
great.
Obviously not everyone's gonna have a good time. So,
Right.
But it will ruin my night, and I'll read it, and I'll just be like, fuck.
They hate us.
Like, you know, but then also there's just so many good ones.
Yeah,
And
but
so
if there's one bad apple or
exactly.
2 bad comments, and then like 300 people saying amazing things, then you just focus on those people.
But it was I'd never built something before that anyone cared about. So it was the first time I had something out there where people are really like
and
trashing it. And it was a nice spiritual journey of like learning to take criticism and just let it go.
Yeah,
and
that too.
You know, so it's been same with competition. At first there was no competitors. Now there are a few. And it just, at first it was really anger, fear, like, oh my God, is ours still going to be the best? This and that. And it's just part of the journey of going through it.
Love it. Okay. Well, let's pause here for a quick break, and we will be right back with more from Othership's Robbie Bent. This episode is brought to you in part by Adriana Pietropaolo Design. APD is a boutique, Toronto-based interior design studio that creates spaces that are intentional, meaningful, and inspiring. There is no better time than the present to invest in yourself and your space. Book a 2-hour in-person design consultation with Adriana today for expert advice on anything you need for your home or business space. Renovation costs, furniture layouts, millwork design, window treatment, material selections, color selections, sourcing recommendations, and so much more. APD will make sure to leave you with rapid-fire design advice, tangible takeaways, and a clear roadmap to take toward your short and long-term design dreams. I did this when I moved into a new house last year, and Adriana's tips and advice were so helpful. I truly couldn't have done it without her. Visit her online at adrianadesign.ca, that's Adriana with 1 N, or email her directly at hello@adrianadesign.ca. You won't regret it. And now back to the show. Okay, so because this season of the podcast, we're really focusing on pleasure and how we can derive pleasure from unexpected places, we want you to talk to us about the effects that contrast therapy, aromatherapy, and breath work really do have on the pleasure centers of our brains. Like, what is happening?
And why are we so happy?
And why are we so happy?
Yeah, so you're creating, especially in the cold, a fight or flight response. And so your body is saying like, hey, this is dangerous. And as a result, it produces all these feel-good hormones, like more than a cup of coffee, more than cigarettes, more than cocaine, which is crazy. So you're like pumping your system full of these feel-good hormones, as I mentioned. So you just feel when you come out like, wow, I'm alive. And it's funny, like a lot of things that are painful to begin with actually produce dynorphin, which is like this feel bad hormone. Like this is hard, but then it primes your brain for endorphin. So sometimes the easiest feel good hormones, or like the most long lasting and sustaining, come from hard things. So when you're talking about pleasure, you might think like, oh, I want to, eat this bag of chips or go on Instagram, but it's like very short lasting. Whereas if you do something like run a marathon, the feeling after, it's like euphoria. So the ice bath is great because it's like 30 seconds. You can just hit it and you never adapt. So like every day, every time, I'll still look at it and be like, I don't want to do this. Like I'm not like, oh, I can't wait. It feels so good. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And every time I get out, I'm like, fuck, that was incredible. Like the things that I'm always thinking about, like I have a ADHD, very overactive mind. I'm just like, I got to pick up my son from school. I got to get this. I got to get this present for my wife. I've got these 1,500 emails. Oh my God, is their business going to go bankrupt? I got to pay this person. I got this lawsuit. I've got like, it's just insane. So I can't enjoy life. I feel like I'm always like ramped up, armored up, ready to battle. And when I go in the plunge, for me, because I'm a stressed out person, and like I think anyone with a phone that lives in a big city has a job and is a parent.
Absolutely.
Life is hard now. It's stressful.
Yeah.
So you go in there.
Stops.
And it just stops. And then when it stops, that means for 20 minutes after we're hanging out, I can just enjoy. I'm not like thinking about these 15 things. I'm like just hanging out, laughing. I mean, alcohol does the same thing. It makes you like kind of relax a bit, but in a way that has harmful repercussions.
Yeah.
So I think when I'm talking pleasure, like things, one, like definitely there's the neurochemicals in the brain, but two is it just helps me like stop and be in the moment. And then in that moment, I might be like more likely to laugh,
Yeah.
you know, to just eye gaze with my wife, to connect. So I think that's one from the ice bath. And then the other way is just like feeling into your body, which is where the sauna comes in. And so some of the classes, like there's a deep stretch where you're literally just sitting.
I love that.
That's
That's our favorite. It's so good.
It's so fucking good. Like you're
Yeah.
just breathing and you're just feeling your body, a nice gentle stretch with the heat. And it's so like cozy, like your body's getting a hug.
Yes.
And you're just repatterning. And so you're just having pleasure of like, wow, I'm sitting here. And sometimes that might be boring in a yoga class, but I find because it's so hot, music's great, you're breathing, you just kind of like sink into it. There's one called Senses where you're in the dark and you're giving yourself a massage and just thinking like, hey, feel the sense of touch, like feel pleasure in your body. Just really gently focus on that. So I think creating space to feel pleasure is important because also you're working all the time, just thinking and worried. And so if you have a bit of space without your phone, there's actually like space to have pleasure.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, you know, the couples class, the connect class. Like I'll do that one with my wife. And so there's like some gentle massage and it's just nice to connect, which then leads to pleasure later.
Right.
Post.
Yeah, exactly.
Foreplay.
Through the connection. Yeah. So it's really nice. So there's lots of ways to find, change your neurochemistry, find space with yourself and then with your partner.
It's such a great escape. I love the cold plunge for that. And that's kind of how I've been able to get my friends to try it is like, believe me, your brain will stop thinking about all the bullshit things.
Yeah.
It's just always running with things. When you get in there, you're just so concentrated on the breathing, everything else stops. And it's such a good restart.
How long do you feel the benefits for after personally? Like,
I mean, me, like I used to track the hour, the times, all this, like, the protocols. Now I don't care. I'll just like, if I'm feeling stressed, I'll just go in for like minimum 30 seconds until my body says like, hey, that's enough. And instantly every time I'll feel better. And so if you're a parent and, you know, your kid's wilding out, yelling, the house is messy. Like I was just, my wife told me this thing the other day where she was like, you know, I read it that the house is messy. It's a sign of like a life well lived. So just remember that because you're around. And it's, now he's at the age where he goes, takes everything out of the drawers, throws it on the ground.
He's a little guy.
Yeah. And so it's to be in a messy space is stressful.
Oh, don't tell us.
no,
We're like
it's
super OCD.
Yeah. So it's just, and there's no way, like it's, you just kind of look at it. And so I'll go and we have a nice bath in our backyard and it's on our backyard and I'll just know like, okay, I can instantly reset at any time. It's like the emergency stop button. So for me, that's it. I'm just like, okay, I feel it. If I don't go for 3 days, I'll start to get like crave it.
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like for almost every day.
I'll go like kind of 3 to 4 times a week,
Okay.
but I never usually go more than 3 days without popping in
We're
either to
overdue.
Othership or in my backyard.
We're so overdue.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, we did the one at the retreat.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but we need to like get on a schedule
Yeah, we do.
so that we're
It's like right now in the mornings. It's so nice. I used to not be a morning person, and I've been going in the mornings recently. Like I'm really big in the classes because they're busy and there's like a lot of energy and it's guided.
Yeah.
And I always have loved the parties. Like we're doing a big New Year's party this year. It's with DJ comes. It's so much fun. It's like a sober night
that's
out.
a fun
Even on the ball drop, we'll do like a 10-minute breath work where it's over the speakers and you like visualize your upcoming year. And at the ball drop,
Oh,
everyone opens their
really
eyes,
cool.
and
I
It's,
love
it's really
that.
nice. But I've recently started going in the mornings and there's 10 people there. Sometimes there'll be someone playing a cello and it's like quiet and it's just so
Maybe we'll join you.
relaxing.
I
It's
like
like
to
a
go
treat.
before. Ideally, I like to do before noon.
Yeah.
Because I do feel
So
like
you're
it
like-
energizes
yeah.
me.
And then
So
you're up all night.
When I do it at night,
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
struggle to like
Yeah.
come down
Mhm.
from the like cocaine adjacent high that I get.
Yeah.
No, it's real. It's
From
a
being
you know, you can kind of, we'll tell people to end on the sauna to like really get hot
Yes.
to like relax you. But we did a party with this group Daybreaker in New York and they brought in like 3 saxophonists, a bongo player, whole orchestra, and there was 200 people in which you've never had like dancing, like full nightclub lot. Like it almost felt like a festival inside. And you saw these people leaving at midnight and their just eyes are wide like they were on drugs, like confused. Like, why do I feel so good? I didn't know this could happen sober. And that was when we were
Right.
like, whoa, there's something really special here that we hadn't really explored. So the parties are or
I
something.
mean, I love the way you guys incorporate music into all of this and the kind of music, because sometimes, or before Othership,
Yeah.
the wellness space would kind of be the same sort of like the spa music, right? The birds and I love that it's like housey, it's vibey. It speaks to our souls for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, and another thing that speaks to us about Othership is the community building factor, because that's what we have been doing for 10 years. And we know the value of it for mental health and physical health and everything. So talk to us about what's being referred to the epidemic of loneliness that we're seeing, especially in big cities, and how Othership was created to address it.
Yeah. So there's all these stats like loneliness is now more dangerous than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's one like the US Surgeon General came out with.
Wow.
Americans have on average the least amount of close friends they've ever had, ever.
Is it because
So I
they're
think
Americans?
It's
Sorry, I had to.
it's a sub one is the average number of close friends. It's like 0.8.
What?
So if you
Oh my
ask
God.
like not
Even your one
That's
friend
not
is
even
not
a
really
whole
your
friend.
friend.
not even a whole friend. And so if you think of what's happened, where'd you grow up?
Where did we grow up?
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
like in Mississauga.
So you grew up, right? Like 20 years ago, pre cell phones,
Mhm.
and there's like way more people are part of religions, but not
Mhm.
just religions. There's like the Italian Canadian clubs
Right.
having like the dance, and like the
Yes.
whole neighborhood goes out. You maybe go out and you know your neighbors, like you know them, and you're talking to them, you're asking for directions. Now, if you think about work, most people work from home or have
Yeah.
like some component of work from home. Huge
Right.
chance to like see people.
Correct.
If you're eating, like how often do you do meal delivery, whether it's like groceries? It's like, okay, I'm not even going to the grocery
It's
store.
so expensive
I'm not
too
going-
to do that. Like, come on,
Yeah.
who's eating out anymore?
Yeah, exactly. But so it's like, oh, let's get Uber Eats or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
right.
and so it's, okay, I'm not seeing anyone
Yeah,
there. And then people aren't drinking as much.
Yeah.
So I think like the chance to like be in a community in a big city specifically,
Yeah.
and then the other thing that's happened is because people are working remote, they're moving a lot more, and it's so much easier. Like 20 years ago, if you want to move your life, how do you even talk to your family or friends? There's so many barriers, but now like your friends are all on WhatsApp
Yeah.
or on Instagram.
You can
like
FaceTime.
yeah, you can easily like to go to, and then you can use Google Maps. All these things like didn't exist. So like for you to actually move from Toronto to Vancouver, it's like a huge thing. Now it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I can just use Airbnb. I could go move there for a month. I can check it out. So people are way more transient. And so now like my family all lives in 4 different cities, but
Yeah, it's true.
You're
so
connected still.
people are transient way more so than before. They're changing jobs much more. Like it used to be like, hey, I live in Guelph and I'm an accountant. And
Yeah.
I do that for 20 years and I live on the same street. And so
Yeah.
life, there's just way more options. And so as a result, you're lonely because you're always like
Yeah.
moving around. You're much less stable. You're doing way more from your house. And I think it's a major problem that humans aren't, we're meant to be social creatures. There's stats also that like longevity is based on human connection,
The quality of
like
your
real human
relationships.
Yeah.
connection, like
Yeah.
talking to people face to face, which is why it's so nice to actually even do this
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
person
Yeah.
versus on Zoom. So we had moved back to Toronto, and a lot of my friends were like in the footworks days, as we mentioned. I was worried about like getting back into alcohol and drugs. And
Yeah.
so myself, my wife, another couple, Harry and Amanda, who you know also, and then our friend Miles, so 5 like best friends, 2 couples, which is pretty rare to start a business with.
Mhm.
Just we're like, yeah, let's build a healthy community in Toronto that care about like feeling good and connecting in a way without alcohol. And so we just built an ice bath in my backyard, like by hand. And every night we would go all around the neighborhood and just like, hey, this is for free. Like you can just
Yeah.
come anytime. There's towels, there's a fire. We'd go to all the local gyms, restaurants, coffee shops all around Geary, and would just say like, hey, we're doing this ice bath. And people are like, what are you talking about? Like, what is that? But they'd come once and then they could come for free after. And so all day long, there would just be like 15, 20 people dropping in. And so it grew to a 300 person WhatsApp completely organically. And around October that year, it was like getting cold out. People were like, hey, I don't want to just go to an ice bath outside in the winter. That's insane.
Yeah.
And
You're
so,
like, we'll build a sauna.
yeah. So we looked at my garage, and it was like a 3-car, like weird, outstanding building with a woodworking shop in it. And we're like, I wonder if we could turn this into something. So we just by hand, we did all the work ourselves and like, put in some plumbing, sauna, designed it, ice bath. And that was by donation. And that grew into 1,000 members and people just sharing. And that Christmas, from October to Christmas, people were like, hey, I met my romantic partner here, or, you know, I didn't know anyone in Toronto and I made 3 friends that are like
Love it.
now my best friends. And it really just grew organically. And that's how the classes started. Like initially we were also like, oh, it's about the health and wellness stuff. And it became way more about the community in these classes. And so there'd just be a group in the garage and someone's like, oh, I'm struggling with anger today. I'm like, okay, well, let's all like do a big scream. And everyone would scream like, oh, this what's happening? People are crying randomly and like sharing. And it's like, well, this is so cool. So we just kept leaning into that. And like even to date, Othership has still grown mostly word of mouth, which is
that's
pretty
cool.
Well, and it's the experience.
insane.
It's such a gift, right? Like we've released so much in there, and that's what you want to walk away with, and that's what kind of keeps you coming back and get new people in. It's amazing.
I think
the strongest brands tend to grow like that too. Like it speaks for itself. If you've inspired people to go out and turn to the next person they see and say, I just did something amazing, then you're doing the right thing, right? If you're having to like dump tons of money into advertising to get the word out, it's like maybe you're not doing the right thing. Like the people that your patrons,
it's organic,
are your number one advertisers at the end of the day, which is amazing. That speaks volumes about what you guys are doing. Yeah,
it's always so nice to hear people that use it and like it. Like it just makes my day.
Of course.
We're never gonna give you a bad review, babe. Not here.
Okay, so what about playfulness? Because that's a big component too.
Yeah, so it's like what you said, like wellness traditionally has been either medical, that's the recovery, athlete stuff, or it's very spiritual, which is also great, but it's like the meditation, yoga, spa-y, which isn't for everyone. It's just like, okay, what about the fun?
Yeah, that's what we were missing.
Yes.
And so our music is like, okay, let's have a party here. You know, we don't have to take ourselves too seriously. So the Othership logo is actually, it's on my arm, it's a top. And which is actually the first toy in any culture, and it's part of all cultures. And it was the idea that like wellness can be playful, can be fun. And so like our music, you know, we've got like hip hop and urban and Tulumi stuff, and it's meant to be a party. So yeah, there's like some emotional stuff happening, but then it's fun, and like it might even be borderline cheesy for some stuff. Like we'll have, you know, a cold potato game where you throw an ice ball
I love that
at each other, and then you throw it in, everyone shoots, it's like a basket. If you get it in, wins a prize, everyone's cheering. And some people aren't ready, will be like, this is cheesy, feels like I'm at a summer camp. I was like, no, that's what it's meant to make you. It's meant to make you feel like a child, which we don't have as adults. So that's one of like, you know, you mentioned in the description, like the feeling of awe. And to me, that just means feeling like you're a kid.
Right.
So that's like a really important part of our brand, is just being playful, not taking ourselves too seriously. And it was, you know, at first our marketing was like a little bit, it's more on the serious side. And we started like doing these comedy nights as an answer to that, where we'll have like real stand-up comics come in and like make fun of the brand.
Oh my God, that's
all
amazing.
their customers. And so it's like an ice bath. And then that in New York has exploded with like real pro comics that have like Netflix specials and stuff, and come in. And it's just, again, another reminder of like, people are coming here to connect and have fun first. Everything else is like a side show.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Like, and that's so rare too, that you go somewhere to connect and have fun and then leave feeling amazing and like you've done something great for your body. That's pretty awesome.
I love it. I want to go right now.
I know. Let's go.
Okay, so what you've built at Othership is amazing for everyone, but we feel like it can be especially healing for men. In this new climate of alpha males in the manosphere, you stand out as an especially healthy example of masculinity. Do you see yourself that way? And what do you know about masculinity that these other guys are missing? Because we feel like guys probably need this the most.
Yes.
I think so. We have a class called Brothership, and it's a men's class. It's led by this one of our guys, Adam Kunder, who's an amazing firefighter, and he's like really going out.
Oh my God, I'm coming.
He's definitely like a attractive guy as well, but he's got like a good, like a serious power. He has fans too, but he's got like a power to him, and his mission is to help first responders deal with stress. And so it's that community who has maybe been taught they can't open up about their feelings. And I think I struggled with drugs and alcohol, went through, you know, lost a company, went bankrupt. Like my 20s and were not a good time for me. And so I went and tried all these different therapies and psychedelic medicines and all this stuff. And I think I just got used to sharing vulnerably. And there's a lot behind Othership of like even the share moment. So it's like the
Mhm.
class, it ends with a share. We open it up. You don't have to, but if you see 5 or 6 people share,
It's nice when it
authentically,
starts.
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
good. And like sometimes
So
it's
good.
awesome, sometimes it's more low key, but it's always nice if you see someone share something meaningful, because we see on Instagram people share fake stuff, you know.
All the
So
time.
it's-
Mhm.
So it's nice to see someone share like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually struggling in my relationship, or
Yeah.
you know, I'm having trouble with my parents, or I'm not feeling
That's the
financially secure.
relatable stuff, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so just to me, masculinity is just being able to not have to put on a mask, to be yourself and say like, yeah, I'm afraid, or like, I don't know how to do this. I feel insecure, you know? So I think those, being able to look inside and like feel your feelings and share them is a skill that's not taught. And it's even like, I think it's getting better for younger generations,
It
but
is,
for my
definitely.
generation,
Yeah.
it's like, that's anti-masculine.
Well,
you
right.
know?
It's like,
Yeah.
don't cry,
Yeah.
boys don't cry. All that stuff is
Be
how
tough.
they came up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's, yeah, just from like going through a lot of challenging times and doing a lot of therapy, finding out it's okay to, even if you're angry, like that's when we're taught like, oh, don't be angry, and oh, that's bad, you know.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we're like, I don't think so. I think like if
No,
you're angry,
it's
like
an emotion.
Yeah.
exactly,
Angry's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It just can't be the only emotion you let yourself feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's to me.
It's
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, masculinity to me is just being confident to feel your emotions, and I think as more
Yeah.
men in my generation, I feel like there is a movement. Like there's a lot of
Definitely.
like men's work
and
happening.
we love to see it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
as women, we're used to kind of being in community, like a community together. And we've been coming to each other since basically we've gotten our periods and like talking about what we're going through and sharing the feelings. But men have typically been closed off to that. So it's so nice to see you creating a safe space for those guys to come in and try that.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
so healing for them.
I think that what makes it such a comfortable space for men is that men do like an activity.
Yep.
Like they like to get together and like do stuff. So when we get together, we can just sit on a couch
Yeah.
and talk and
Talk
cry
about our
and
feelings.
laugh and
Yeah.
have this like beautiful release and we're good. But I think that men do need that activity piece. And I think that Othership kind of toes the line really nicely between like you're doing something like it's active without being like a sport.
You think you're coming
And
for
it's
like a macho
guided.
ice bath,
Yeah.
but you're not.
But you're not.
coming
You're
to
gonna
share
share
in
your
a
fucking
group.
feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to say that in the marketing. Come share your feelings.
Well, that's
No.
what we used to call it, Space for Men. That was the title of the class.
Yeah.
It, like wasn't selling super well, and I think
Right.
people would see it like Space
Brothership
Space
is
for Men.
great.
Brothership's
Brothership
good,
is
right?
great. I love
so
that
yeah,
so
so
much.
it's more like I think that like brothers like
Yeah.
resonates well, and
Yeah.
but we don't we're not really saying like, oh, it's a space for sharing. We're like, hey, it's like men coming to the ice bath together in a space with no women. Just be yourself. People, oh,
Yes.
that's cool.
And
Right.
men are
Yeah.
starting to become more and more comfortable with that. Like,
You know what's really cool too is those classes we used to do. The men's class was more masculine, where it was like yelling and everyone around the ice bath would be cheering for each other and playing a drum, and the women's was more feminine. And we actually switched them, and we found the men like the more feminine energy of
for
like,
sure, the women have rage.
and the women loved the like screaming and the and that was like a really cool unexpected thing.
What made you switch
Also,
them?
Some facilitators from the men's work, like that we always get pro facilitators to come in from outside to like give us feedback, and they were just saying that like it's actually men that need more feminine
Mhm.
energy a lot of the time, and women need to have a space to feel more masculine energy.
Right.
So that was really cool. And so yeah, and we started trying that, and that worked really well also.
Well, we usually like women usually don't have that outlet
Yeah.
to go somewhere and like scream and like let it all out. We're used to kind of like suppressing those things, staying calm, staying gentle, graceful. Everyone's, managing the things.
Yeah.
So it's really nice
scream
to
into
let all
pillows.
those- Yeah.
Quietly.
Silk pillows.
Yeah. Okay, we're taking our last break, and when we get back, we'll dive into some rapid fire questions and play a little game of overrated or underrated. So don't go anywhere. Got real estate questions? You better call the Wolf. Wolf Street Real Estate is a full-service real estate team specializing in residential sales across the GTA. I used Wolf Street last year for the sale of my family home, and it was the most seamless experience ever. From their in-depth market analysis to staging and marketing, their attention to detail is unparalleled. And when it's time to negotiate, this team truly goes to bat for their clients. Find them online at wolfstreet.ca and be sure to tell them the Rebel Mamas sent you. And now, back to the show. All right, we are back and we're going to lighten it up. We're going to play your favorite
The
thing.
fun stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Simple, like quick one answer questions. These are rapid fire just to get to know you a little bit better. Do you want to do them or do you want me to do them? Okay. Favorite season?
Fall.
Ooh.
Favorite scent?
Cedar.
Ooh.
Yeah, like a good earthy.
Mm.
Yeah, I actually
You guys
like,
have some good sense.
didn't
The
care.
essential
I
oils.
never knew about smells. Like didn't care at all my whole life. And then Harry introduced me to all these oils, and now like it's just such a underrated, like a good strong smell. It can just take you somewhere. And like a nice cedar is amazing. That's actually how they did my gender reveal. A surprise in the sauna, 5 ice balls, each with a different scent.
Oh my
And the
God.
first one
I
was
love
lavender, and it was during a social, and so there's I didn't know any people there, and they're all like, "What's happening?" We're like, "We're gonna do a gender reveal," and so the first one's lavender. Everyone's like, "It's a girl," and so it was 2-2, and they do the last one, and I'm like kind of into it. My wife's like, "Aren't you into this?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it's just them like they're calling in the sex of the baby. Like it's not real, you know."
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're
Yeah.
doing their kooky thing, and she's like, "No, I sent them the results. This is real." And I was like.
Oh my
And then they did the
God.
last one, and it was a tobacco or some manly one, and it was boy. And
Yeah.
so I was crying. And there's like
Aw.
women are like, "Oh, I don't know you, but it's just happened all the time. Like I can't believe it." People are crying. So it was really cool. So since then, like scents for me in the last few years have become more important.
It's one of my favorite things about walking into Othership. That's you can
Yes.
smell it on the way down the escalator in Yorkville, and I'm
Yes.
just like,
Yeah. It's
Yes, give it to me. And also the rollers.
yeah, the rollers are.
You like the
awesome.
rollers?
Love
Yeah.
And you
so
know who
good.
really loves the rollers? My youngest child.
Nice.
Obsessed. He's always been sent forward. Like you'd throw him a ball when he was
Yeah.
1, he would smell it.
Yeah.
Like that's his first.
thing.
That's the
Oh,
first
that's
thing
so
he does.
exciting.
dog.
I think
He
it's
looks
real.
at it
I
and
think it's a
smells
real.
it.
We made all those by hand. Like we poured them in.
Oh,
we
come
put the
on. I
thing
love
like
them.
everything.
They are
in.
phenomenal. They're like, okay, it's the morning. I'd like my up one.
Yeah.
And I put on their hands and they rub it and they smell it.
Love
And then
it.
at night they do down.
Oh
And it's
no
like
way!
a whole
Oh,
vibe.
I gotta
that's
get
amazing.
Oscars to that.
Okay,
He needs some
Yeah.
of that down.
sweet.
Yeah, really cool. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Like,
Damn straight.
yeah,
All
like,
day long.
Yeah.
Bone broth or smoothies?
Bone broth.
Okay, me too. The next city you'd like to see Othership open?
So we're going deep in New York. Like
Are
probably
you?
gonna open 5 or 6 in Manhattan and like 3 or 4 in Brooklyn, and like really
They
make that
need it,
our-
though.
our
They
home,
need it.
Yeah. It's just the perfect place of like stressed people. There's
The
a heavy
most stressed
winter.
out people ever
Yeah.
in one place, and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Toronto, New York. We're excited about the Northeast. So like Boston, Washington,
Mhm.
these places where there's like a
Right.
hardcore winter.
Yes.
But it feels I would love to do one in London.
Oh, yeah,
I
London
bet it would
would
be
be
received
great.
really well in London because people are so stressed there too.
And
they need
drunk.
To,
They drink
yeah,
a
they need
lot.
to drink less.
Yeah. So Mexico City, San Francisco, I'd like to do. So yeah, they're
Ooh.
all. Yeah.
Love this for you.
Oh my
Love how you're
God.
expanding.
I do
So
too.
exciting.
Okay, perfect day off. What does that look like for you?
Ice bath.
In his backyard.
Oh man, I have to do something. It's really like if I go on just like a relaxed vacation, I just can't stop thinking about work. So for me to like relax, I have to do something kind of intense.
I cannot relate.
I know. I'm like, so this is what you're doing on your day off? Something intense?
So it just has to be like something like where I can stop thinking. So like I love. It's gonna sound weird. If it's like a little bit competitive, so like where I can just stop thinking. So if I get into like any racket sport, if I go and play, and like my co-founder Harry's super competitive, so we'll just start playing and we'll be like throwing rackets, like screaming at each other, and it's just like
You're like super relaxed.
I
for
feel
me-
so relaxed.
that for me,
now.
it's like what can stop my brain? Same as like if I went like and race cars or go karts or like something extreme. Like I had a skydiving license before. I haven't done
Oh
that
my
since I
God,
was
babe.
a dad, and not really anymore. But I used to ride a motorcycle or kite surf, something that like gets me into the fear state. But if I thought of a good day off now, The one that comes to mind in New York was my wife and I would take our son to like a play zone, and just I would start playing with him, and I could like really
that's so nice.
get into it, like going down the slide, playing in the ball pit. And that's another way I could forget, is like kind of watching him smile, but like playing. He's not really old enough to do like communication things or play any sports, but like that would be a way to also.
You are going to love that next phase. Like it's around the corner for you.
Absolutely. I
and
agree.
like
when they're young kids and no longer. Yeah.
No, I watched my partner like completely blossom as a parent once he could do that, because he's the same way. He's like, you know, ex-athlete, like, really likes to be active and do competitive things. And now they're like, you know, he coaches my son's hockey team. He's taught them both how to golf. We go on vacation. They're like throwing footballs on the beach and setting up races, and like it's active all day long. And that is how he relaxes. But it's so nice that he can do that with them. Like he's like has built-in best friends.
And kids are a great escape too. I feel like when you're really stressed out, if you can just go for a walk with your kid or go shoot, you know, hoops or like play soccer, like you kind of, they bring back that perspective of what's important in life, and the bullshit fades away.
Yeah, in the summer, my wife was like, "You're just like a black cloud that follows around the family." Like, don't even.
Oh my God, I've said that to my husband before.
Me too. But it really is you guys are just in the dark
You walk
days.
in and you're like, why are you like this? And why are you bringing in this energy? Like,
I'm very excited for your next phase of parenting.
Yeah, me too.
It's
You're going to be amazing.
Love every minute of it. I think it's going to be amazing for you. Okay, you do the overrated.
Okay, overrated, underrated. Wellness
edition.
Yep. Okay, digital detoxes.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Huge.
Which means I guess, what is a digital detox?
Like you just fucking put your
but
phone
for how
away.
long?
Like
what's the minimum?
I would say, like for a real detox, it's like 2 days. Like in
straight.
Yeah, like your phone off for 2 days at a cottage. That's like
okay. Fair.
Like maybe 3 times a year.
Silent retreats.
Underrated.
I've read about those, and like you're totally silent.
We couldn't do it. We'd be like, hey, I don't know.
Intermittent fasting.
Overrated. Yeah, I think the problem with intermittent fasting is people will generally be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have coffee in the morning and then not eat until like 3 p.m." And I think there's some studies coming out now that show it's better to eat breakfast. So if you can intermittent fast and have your last meal at 6, really good for you, but really hard to do is to have that like early dinner and then go to bed. So if you're gonna, I can't because my diet's shit. But so I'm not in like health phase right now, but I think like a breakfast around like 8, 9 ish, and then have your last meal around 6. It's like that's really
that
good.
is tough.
Well, and we should flip it too. Like maybe biggest meal in the morning. Second largest meal.
Yeah.
And then snack for dinner, and then shut it down, and then do it all again the next day.
Because I'll do like, just 3 cups of coffee, and it would be like 3 p.m. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm intermittent
That's not
fasting.
healthy, babe.
But I'm intermittent fasting. Like,
your body's like,
it's just nervous system. It's like,
All right. Alkaline water.
Overrated. I don't think that's real.
Yeah, I don't think that's real either.
I love when people add lemon to it.
I've seen,
I'm
man,
like, babe, you're fucking up the pH of that
can
water
look
so
and
bad, and it's
like-
not alkaline.
is it really? I didn't even know. I add lemon, so okay.
There you
Didn't
go.
even
If
know.
you're
Didn't
drinking
even know.
alkaline water and adding lemon
Lemon,
to
it's just
it,
totally-
you're just
It
I've
got so
seen
big though for a sec there.
Some people will do the like put the water in the blender, so it's like alive, living. Like
What?
it's like
Wow.
living
Like-
water. So it's meant to be moving from a stream when you drink it. And
oh my
like,
god.
Like just water by itself, not with ice.
water, but like make sure it's moving around before you drink it to like get the energies going. So like and then
What
like
will
put
they
it in
come
the
up with next?
sunlight and like
Oh my God.
Those kookrams are strong.
I love
Okay.
people.
Supplements and vitamins.
Underrated.
Okay.
But I think if you do everybody is so different.
Mm-hmm.
And so blood testing now, there's like tons of companies that are doing this, but the future of health for me is not really seeing a doctor. It's doing your blood panels and your hormone panels, especially like over 35 for sure. Call it 2 to 3 times a year, and looking at like where you're deficient and then supplementing with the vitamins you need. Otherwise it's just
that's a good tip.
just a black box. Like you don't know what, it could be very, very different. And then how much are you taking versus how much you need? So,
And there's so much information out there, and people are
Exactly.
constantly like,
Yeah.
you need this vitamin and that vitamin, and you're trying
Yeah.
to take them all. And you're like, is anything working even?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not cheap, but it's,
No.
about $500. You
Yeah.
can go and get all these panels, like one, and that includes like the concierge person you talk to gives you the advice of what to do. And I think that's like really underrated and will sort of be the norm for healthcare in the future.
Yeah. Awesome.
Kombucha?
Overrated, and that I don't know there's like
I don't know.
health
People
benefits
seem
to
to
it,
think
but
it's amazing. But I think it's
underrated
gross.
in flavor. Like it's a good drink, but I'm not drinking it like, oh, healthy option. I'm drinking it like, fucking, this
You're
is
like,
good.
yum.
Oh my God,
it's
you
good.
actually
Yeah,
enjoy it.
I do.
I can't. Psychedelics?
Okay, so underrated in that,
Mhm.
like, I think like for me, massive shift in addiction, like incredible results. Even now, like when I was so stressed this summer, when I was crying, my wife was in black cloud face. My wife was like, you need to, like, they're very scary for me. So I don't want to do them when I'm stressed. My wife's like,
Yeah.
you need to get your shit together and like go. And I did. And I felt significantly better. So I think in underrated, and they can be a huge component of your life, but I think overrated in that people will be like, oh my God, I've done the medicine. Like, and they keep going back, and it doesn't actually, it's like a tool, but it's not guaranteed change. So I think it's not the answer for everything. So for people who think that, there's a lot of people in that camp as well.
Yeah.
So, but I do think extremely valuable.
Yeah. I agree.
Shroomies.
Yeah.
My last one was juice cleanses.
Yeah. I think fake also.
Yeah. And that was a big thing.
Underrated.
Too.
Or
Overrated.
Overrated.
Overrated. Juice
Yeah.
cleanses.
Okay, Robbie, tell the people where they can find you online if you want them to find you at all.
Yeah, just at
Others like, no,
Othership.com.
just go to Othership, okay? Just don't bother him.
We have so we're so into the community. We have a WhatsApp chat, and there's 500 shipheads, and they get invited once they've been 11 times, and it's for like the diehards in the community, and I'm in there
Oh,
every
that's
day.
really
And
cool.
people now have
I
my
love that.
number, and so I'll have 5 to 6 messages from customers like, hey man, like just letting you know the lights were too dim this morning.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
You're like
You know,
deep
on Saturday
regrets on the
afternoon.
WhatsApp group chat.
It's like, oh, man.
He's never going to invite us because
So-
we'd have so many notes on it.
But I do love it, and I love gifting people with the experience.
Yeah,
but
that's
fun.
But it's a lot of people are reaching out.
So find Othership, book your classes, go online to the
Yeah.
website. We will link it in the show notes. We will also link the app
Sure.
because the app is
Great,
phenomenal if you want to get into breath work more. Anything else you want to leave the listeners with, or you want us to wrap it up?
No, Brad, I mean, that was amazing. I'm so happy to come out in person and not be in my
Yes.
house and get to see you and put on. I
Yes.
cut my hair for the first time in like years, and got like a normal. I usually just wear a hoodie and had a beard and with like long hair. My mom saw me the other night. She's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this for 7 years. Like,
Aw.
you really, I wasn't gonna
Your
say anything, but
parents
you
are so
looked
cute.
really old."
You're like,
Thanks for
"Thanks,
not
Mom."
saying
Yeah,
it. Well,
so-
actually, the first time we went to Othership was with your mom.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your mom was there.
Yeah,
And
she was
she's
there.
awesome.
She's
Awesome.
lovely.
Yeah.
That was a
Awesome.
great conversation.
Yeah.
So,
And your wife was pregnant, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
Right?
yeah.
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 Yeah, exactly. I guess that puts us at like 2.5 years ago
Mm-hmm.
ish.
You were there like right when we opened.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
hardcore.
Adelaide.
You're shipheads.
Oh,
Oh,
my God.
geez.
Don't add us to the WhatsApp chat.
That's all we ask. Well, thank you, Robbie, for joining us today. And thank you, sweet listener, for tuning in once again to the Rebel Mama podcast. As always, we'd love if you would like, rate, and review this podcast wherever you listen. And feel free to share it with a friend who you think would enjoy it. This podcast was produced by Space Monkey inside the Soda Studio. The song you're listening to is called Name and Number off the debut album Unrequited by Roshan. Stream it now on Apple Music.